LoreWarrior Boat, Neptune Submarine. Overview. With the decline of seagoing navies in the late 21st century, the submarine all but vanished from military inventories. It's made a comeback in recent years, however, because of changes in military defensive tactics. As mech combat became battles of maneuver and position rather than firepower, any commander who could disrupt or destroy his enemy command, control and communication centers could win a quick, bloodless victory. Consequently, the owners of those C3 complexes began to heavily protect and guard them, as the centers had become prime target for attack. No matter where the C3 complexes were located, they immediately drew the fire of every available aerospace fighter, dropship and mech in the area, and it became a cliché of war that a fixed command post couldn't survive the first few hours of invasion. Another proven tenet is that a commander couldn't control a planetary battle from a mobile command post as effectively as from a fixed installation. Davion have attempted to avoid the issue by placing many of its C3 complexes underwater. Using extremely low-frequency radios, the command post can effectively control the land battle while remaining invulnerable to aerospace fighter and dropship attack. Only mechs, which can walk along river and sea bottoms, are able to attack the underwater command posts, but this tends to degrade their offensive capabilities. To provide a defense against such underwater attacks, Davion reintroduced the submarine. Capabilities. The Neptune was first produced in 2950 by the Galtor Naval Yards, a builder of commercial ships. Even though the vessel displaces 100 tons, the 6-man crew of a Neptune are cramped because of the bulk and complexity of its machinery. The Neptune is an outstanding weapon. Its Dorman Naval 140 power plant allows for maximum surface or submerged speeds of 54 kph. While on the surface, the Dorman acts like a diesel engine, using hydrocarbon fuel and burning it with oxygen in the atmosphere. A snorkel allows the diesel to be used while submerged up to a depth of 12 meters. Below 12 meters, the Dorman utilizes a hydrogen peroxide mixture as fuel, with the fuel's bound oxygen as a combustion agent. The ability to use both forms of fuel is an important economy measure for the sub. Diesel fuel is cheaper and more readily available than the hydrogen peroxide. Moreover, using hydrogen peroxide causes a progressive degrading of the Dorman's performance over time, accelerating the time between overhauls. The Neptune has a double hull construction. The outer hull is not pressurized, serving only as a framework for the armor plate. The inner hull is the pressure hull, and is rated for dives as deep as 120 meters, though it has been taken down further during emergency situations. The Neptune is equipped with various detection and fire control devices. The periscope can extend up to 12 meters and provides visual observation of surface targets as well as fire control. Both surface and underwater targets can be identified and targeted by the Sonar Sync Tracker, which can function as either a passive or active sonar targeting control station. The main offensive armament then is the Sea Devastator 20 rack torpedo system, a navalized version of the Devastator LRM. The Sea Devastator has excellent range and firepower. 2 Sea Harvester 6 rack torpedo systems, another navalized version of a land-based missile system, back up the Sea Devastator. As a secondary weapon, the Neptune mounts a Sutel 12 large laser, though the laser's range is degraded when fired underwater. It provides an important means of damaging shore targets when it does surface. Battle history. During the attack on New Iverson in 3021, a Dragon Lance of House Curious' 5th Galadon Regulars was ordered to destroy the Davion underwater command post, located 3 kilometers offshore. The Dragons waded into the surf and headed out toward the Davion C3 facility. About 2 kilometers from their objective and 50 meters below the surface, the Dragons started to lose sight of one another. After closing back into visual range, they resumed plodding along. The going was slow, and occasionally a dragon would slip and slowly settle face first into the bottom muck, throwing up clouds of obscuring debris. Suddenly, a cluster of torpedoes hit the far left dragon. Though none of the shots penetrated the mech's left arm, it had sprung a leak, and it quickly filled with seawater, becoming useless. The Davion Neptune let loose 5 more salvos of Sea Devastators at their attackers, and this resulted in the torso of the second dragon becoming flooded, taking its rear laser out of the fight. The Neptune came closer then and started to pepper the dragons with Sea Harvester torpedoes, and the dragons couldn't effectively reply. Their autocannon and LRMs were useless underwater, but the Neptune stayed out of range of their medium lasers. The Curitan Lance Commander decided to withdraw, the dragons plodding slowly back through the muck, harassed by the Neptune. One Dragon was lost when its center torso became flooded and its fusion reactor quenched by the onrushing ocean. The other 3 managed to emerge from the sea, battered and nearly destroyed. The Davian C-3 complex remained in action throughout the battle for New Iverson, coordinating the planetary defense and contributing to the eventual defeat of the combined forces. Variants. The Neptune's primary limitation has always been its lack of torpedo reloads. Some Davian versions have, therefore, removed the Sutel-12 and added another Sea Devastator system, plus another 3 ton of torpedoes. Another common variant is to use the Sutel-12 space to increase the number of Sea Harvester tubes and to increase the ammunition load. Both variants decrease the Neptune's shore bombardment capability while increasing its effectiveness in underwater attack. Notable vehicles and crew: Ensign Henry Larson and the Bowflin. The Bowflin was the Neptune-class submarine that defeated the Cretan Dragonlance on attack on the underwater command post on New Iverson. Later in the battle for New Iverson, the Bowflin was ordered to make a surface attack against a combined supply depot near the coast. The supply depot was a dummy, however, and the Bowflin met fire as soon as she surfaced. Larson was badly wounded on the bridge and ordered it to dive. Even though he couldn't make it back to the con tower, his body was never recovered. The final vehicle of TRO 3026, the 100-ton Neptune submarine, with its power plant being the Dorman Naval 140 ICE/Hyperox. It has a cruiser 32, a flanker 54, with 14.5 ton of sea slab armour. It has 1 Sea Devastator 20 rack torpedo system, a duo of Sea Harvester 6 rack torpedo systems, and a naval Sutel 12 large laser, manufactured by Galtor Naval Yards. Galtor, good to see you back. We have the communication system with the Link Shure targeting and tracking system as the sonar sync tracker. And if you don't know why I'm so happy about Galtor, and you haven't listened to it, check out my LoreWarrior campaign's Galtor campaign. It's a good one, probably one of the best that they've ever created. Cruiser 3, flanker 5. It has 78 armor on the front, 58 on the sides, and 38 on the back, obviously with no turret, with a LRN-20 torpedo on the front, a SRM-6, twin SRM-6 on the front, and a large laser on the front with the ammo stored in the body. Obviously, the way submarines work is largely similar to the way mechs work on the table, so in an underwater battles scenario, you still move it around like you do a mech, basically. It just has a couple of little side rules and stuff like that. It's incredibly rare that I think anybody ever bothers to use submarines. They are incredibly rare to ever see in Battletech. Later on, they did develop things. You do get underwater torpedo tubes for mechs and abilities like that for being able to do scenarios where lancers and mechs are fighting in the ocean, for instance. I don't think it's particularly common though for that to be a thing. It's nice to have it though. It's cool to see obviously a system like this created, like the Neptune here with the little laser that kind of deploys from the top. That's a nice touch. But overall, yeah, it's just one of those things. It's nice to see it covered because we've had obviously a kind of a warship, more of a kind of river monitor boat, but. I think one of the other books later on does actually have like a full-blown, I think it's like an aerospace carrier or something like that. I can't remember now. It's been a long time since I've bothered to look, but some other naval vessels do make their way into later books, so it's not completely forgotten. It's not like the most important feature of Battletech really. But yeah, the Neptune, Davian made, Cretan slapping vehicle. Because it's always Kurita, isn't it? They're always the whipping boy for a lot of these stories. And you wonder how they win any fights with the way they're written, but yeah, there you go. I'm pretty sure one of the other books that they released later on, not an actual TRO, there was, I think there was one of the campaign ones, has a Cretan submarine. I can't remember what that one's called. I think there are like little variations of their own for each house. They're just not very commonly mentioned. But yeah, that's my chair in the background. I'll catch you next time for whatever the next Lore Warrior may or may not be. Until then, have a good one, everybody. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.